The photo slipped out of the Qur'an and landed on my lap like a small bird that lost its way. I heard the soft knock of old paper touching cotton, and for a moment I did not move. The afternoon sun was sitting on my carpet, warm and honest. The call to prayer from the small mosque across the street had just faded, a thin echo holding the last note in the air. My hands, with their veins and their quiet tremble, reached for the photo. I did not know that one piece of paper could weigh so much. It was an old picture, a little yellow around the edges, the colors softened by time. My husband Yasin was there, younger, smiling with that calm smile I knew very well. He was standing close to a woman I did not know, and in her arms was a little boy, maybe 2 years old, with the same long eyelashes Yasin had. The boy's small fingers held the woman's scarf like it was a secret rope to safety. They looked like a family in that frozen moment, not my family, but a family I was suddenly forced to see. I turned the photo around. On the back, I saw my husband's clear handwriting. "For our son, Yusuf, forgive me." Then, a date. 1993. That date was not before my time. That date was in the middle of our marriage, the years when I was washing little pajamas at night and saving coins in a small jar for winter gas. I felt something inside me slide, like a drawer that had been full for years and finally broke. I held the Qur'an close to my chest with one hand and the photo in the other. The Qur'an is where I run when the world feels like a storm. It has carried my tears and my whispers since I was a girl. Yet now it was holding a truth that cut like glass. I felt anger walk across my heart, but I also felt fear of what this would do to my children, fear of what it would do to the memory of the man I loved, the man I buried with my own hands. I stood up and went to the window. The street below was the same as every day: a woman selling parsley, a boy on a bicycle, 2 men arguing about nothing. The world did not know that mine was breaking. I wrapped the photo in a handkerchief and whispered, "Ya Allah, guide me." I did not know that this photo would open doors I thought were walls. I did not know that it would show me the face of my own child in a way that hurt and healed at the same time. The day I found that photo inside the Qur'an, my life split into before and after, and I was standing on the line, trembling. If you feel this story, please follow Voices of Fatima, like the video, and share it with someone who needs a reminder about faith and truth. What would you do if you found a secret like this, hidden in a holy book in your home? Tell me in the comments. My name is Amina. I am 66 years old, and my voice is not as strong as it used to be, but it is steady. I live in a small apartment on the 4th floor of an old building. The windows shake when the buses pass, and the walls carry the sounds of other people's lives: a child crying, a kettle boiling, a radio playing Qur'an. In the morning, I wake up before the sun, when the world is tender and quiet. I wash my face, spread my prayer mat, and I speak to Allah before I speak to anyone else. I make tea after Fajr, a simple glass with cardamom if I have it. The smell fills the kitchen and reminds me of my mother. I sit by the window and read a few pages from the Qur'an. My eyes get tired sometimes, so I trace the lines slowly, like walking in a garden. The words are old and full of light. I breathe in the calm. Sabr, I remind myself. Patience. Not the kind that is hard and cold, but the kind that is warm and alive, the kind that can hold your hand when you are alone. My husband, Yasin, used to sit with me in the mornings. He was a history teacher with a voice that made you feel you were walking inside his stories. He would speak of kings and wars and old villages, but he always came back to small lessons: kindness, trust, keeping your word. He had gentle eyes that smiled even when his mouth did not. He left this world 8 years ago. A simple stroke the doctor said, as if anything about death is simple. I washed his body with water and tears. I placed my cheek on his cold forehead and told Allah, "Take care of him better than I did." We had 3 children: our eldest son, Omar, our daughter, Layla, and our youngest, Hamza. They grew like 3 different trees in one garden. Omar learned to speak fast and strong. He liked to organize things, to plan, to be the first to answer. Layla was softer, careful with words, always listening first. She had my mother's gentle hands. Hamza was fire and wind. He was the child who ran before he walked, laughed loud, and sometimes fell hard. I loved them all with the same heart. A mother's love is not a scale, it is an ocean. After Yasin died, I moved into Omar's apartment. He wanted it, and it felt right at the time. "Mama, you should not stay alone," he said. "We will take care of you." His wife, Rania, showed me a small room with a single bed and a cupboard. It was clean and bright. I told myself, "Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah for children who open their doors." I brought my few things, my clothes, my prayer mat, a small box of letters, and Yasin's green Qur'an with the gold edges. I put the Qur'an on the highest shelf in my room, where dust is lazy to go. Rania is the kind of woman who likes order, like Omar. She keeps the kitchen shining, and she prefers to plan everything. Many times she was kind. She would make soup when I was sick and bring it with a smile. But there were also days when her words carried thorns. "Mama, don't keep old things. They bring insects," she said once, as she held my box of letters. Another day, she took my gold bangles for safekeeping. "In this area, it is not safe," she said. "I will keep them with mine." I wanted to say, "They are my father's gift," but her voice made me feel like a child again. So I chose silence. I told myself, "Sabr, Amina, patience. Choose the time to speak." Omar worked in a small office with a friend, selling spare parts for machines. He wanted to grow. He often came home with big ideas. "Mama, if we had a little more money, we could open a bigger shop," he said. "We could buy stock and sell for a good profit." He would look at me like a boy asking for a toy. But there was something else in his eyes, a hunger I did not know how to feed. He asked me many times about the old village house that Yasin left us. "Mama, the house is empty," he said. "If we sell it, we can invest. It is better than letting it rot." The house was not just a building to me. It held the smell of rain on earth, the sound of my children's feet when they were small, the voice of my husband calling, "Amina, where did you put my brown sweater?" I kept its papers in a brown envelope wrapped in plastic, hidden behind my winter shawls. Each time Omar asked for the papers, my heart would tighten. "We will see," I said. "There is no rush." He would smile, but his jaw was tight. There are smiles that are flowers, and there are smiles that are masks. I did not want to see which one his was. Layla visited me every week with her 2 children. She brought something small each time, a bag of dates, a fresh loaf, a story. We would sit on the floor and drink tea. She would ask about my knees and rub oil on them. "Mama, you must be careful," she said. "Don't sign anything you do not fully understand." I laughed and told her, "Your mother is not a fool." But I also held her words like pearls. Layla's eyes are quiet, but they see. Hamza was a storm that did not know where to rain. He had good days when he brought fresh fruit and kissed my head. He had bad days when he called in anger, asking for money I did not have. He lost jobs, made friends who were not friends, and believed promises that were only air. He made me worry, the kind of worry that sits behind your ribs and waits. I prayed for him every night. "Ya Allah, Guide my son. Fix what I cannot fix. You are Al-Hadi, the one who guides. Yasin's Qur'an was like a small light in my room. He used to read from it after Fajr. He was the kind of man who turned pages with the same care he showed to people. I remember his finger moving gently under the lines, his lips moving with the verses. Sometimes he wrote little notes on a small paper and kept them inside a verse he wanted to remember, a reminder to bring milk, a question to ask the Imam. After he died, I could not open it for a long time. It held his smell, a mix of clean soap and warm tea. Some days, just looking at it made my chest ache in a sweet way. There were clues in those years, tiny ones, the kind that are easy to ignore when you trust someone. Once, maybe 25 years ago, I saw Yasin outside the market. He was bending to speak to a little boy near the sugarcane stall. The boy had Yasin's way of touching his eyebrow when he was shy. I asked, "Who is that?" Yasin said, "The son of a friend. He is not doing well in school." He looked away when he said it and bought me an extra bag of almonds. I laughed and pushed his shoulder, and we went home. That night he stayed up late, reading, but he did not tell me what he was thinking, and I did not ask again. Another time he came home with the smell of perfume on his scarf. It was not mine. I noticed it, and I noticed the way he looked at me to see if I noticed. I took the scarf to the balcony and let the night air wash it. I told myself, he is a teacher. He meets many people. Don't be a small woman with a small mind. It is funny how we talk to ourselves when we are afraid. We choose the sentence that hurts less. When Yasin died, people came to our house with plates of rice and plastic cups of juice. They said good things about him. He was honest. He helped my son. He paid for a stranger's surgery once. I heard stories I did not know, and each one lifted my heart a little. That is the thing about a good man, even his secrets can be kindness. But some secrets are stones, heavy and cold. We only feel them when we stub our toe on them in the dark. Life with Omar and Rania was not bad, but it was small. My world was the kitchen, my room, and the small balcony where I planted mint in a tin can. I would water it and talk to it like a friend. Rania would laugh and say, "It's just a plant." I would smile and say, "Everything that breathes is a sign." When you get older, you learn to make your own small happiness. You do not wait for big fireworks. You light candles in your heart. 2 weeks before I found the photo, Omar came home very excited. "Mama, we have a chance to supply parts to a big factory," he said. "We just need an investment, and then we will be set." He was breathless, like a boy who ran too fast. Rania brought tea and stood by the door, listening with a tight smile. "If we sell the village house," Omar continued, "we can meet the deadline. The price is good now. Later it will drop." He was using words like the men on TV: deadline, investment, opportunity. I nodded and said, "We will pray istikhara." I said it in a calm voice, but I could feel his disappointment boiling. He did not want prayers. He wanted papers. That night I could not sleep. I took my prayer beads and sat on the floor. I asked Allah for guidance. If this is good for my family, make it easy. If it is bad, block it. Protect us from our greed and our fear. I fell asleep with my cheek on the prayer mat. In the morning, I felt a peace I could not explain. Sometimes Allah puts a quiet in your heart. It is not a voice, but you can hear it. On the day I found the photo, the house was extra quiet. Rania had gone to visit her mother. Omar was at the office. The twins upstairs were at school, so there was no running above my head. The sky was clear like a new sheet. I made lentil soup and left it to sit. I decided to clean my room, the kind of cleaning you avoid the high shelf, the corner behind the cupboard, the little things that hold dust from last winter. I brought a small stool and a damp cloth. I said, Bismillah, in the name of Allah, and I climbed. On the top shelf was my wedding album, a small jar with buttons, a box of old letters, and Yasin's green Qur'an. I dusted the album and wiped the jar. When my hand touched the Qur'an, I paused. I kissed it and brought it to my chest, the way my mother taught me. Then I placed it on the bed to wipe the shelf, underneath. My hand slipped, and the Qur'an slid off the bed. I caught it before it reached the floor, but something small flew out and landed on my lap. An old photo, a secret I did not know I had been living with. When I saw Yasin in that photo, I felt like I was falling and sitting at the same time. My heart beat slow and loud. I could hear the clock. I could hear the soup bubbling far away. Everything was the same, and nothing was the same. I held the photo with both hands, like it could run away if I let go. I did not run to anyone. I did not call Layla or shout for the neighbors. I wrapped the photo in a handkerchief and put it in my small box with the letters. Then I placed the Qur'an back on the shelf, my fingers shaking. I washed my face and prayed 2 units. I asked for strength. I asked for wisdom. I asked for a clean tongue that does not spit poison when I am hurt. I asked Allah to cover our faults, even as He shows me what I need to see. That day, I started to remember the small moments that now had a new face, the boy at the market, the perfume on the scarf, the nights Yasin said he had to go to a cousin's house to discuss a problem. And I remembered the way he looked at our children when they were sleeping, as if there was something he wanted to say and could not. Maybe he was asking Allah to forgive him even then. Maybe he hid the photo in the Qur'an because he knew it would reach me only when I was meant to find it. Qadar destiny. We say we believe in it, but we do not feel its weight until it sits in our lap like a photograph. I will not pretend I was strong that day. I was not. I cried in small, careful tears, not the big dramatic kind. I was afraid someone would walk in and see me broken. I stirred the soup, I folded the laundry, I fixed my scarf, and inside, I was asking, what now? What do I do with a truth like this? How do I protect my children? How do I protect the dead man I loved from my own anger? I did not know. Then that trying to protect everything would be the thing that broke it. This is how the day looked before the storm. A clean kitchen, a quiet room, the Qur'an on the shelf, a mother praying for her children, a photo waiting inside a holy book for 30 years, patient, silent, like a letter from the past. And then, in one small fall, everything started to move. The truth opened its eyes. I did not sleep the night after I found the photo. My pillow felt too high, then too low. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Yasin's smile next to that woman's shy face and the small boy holding her scarf. I turned the photo in my mind like a wheel. The words on the back pressed against my heart. For our son, Yusuf, forgive me. What did he want forgiveness for? For loving another woman? For hiding a child? For leaving me in the dark? At Fajr, I sat on the prayer mat longer than usual. The air before sunrise is soft and honest. It does not lie. I whispered, Ya Allah, you are the knower of all secrets. If this truth will break my family, protect us. If it will heal a deaf place in our hearts, bring it gently. I touched the Qur'an, the same one that held the photo. My fingers shook, but my voice was steady as I read. I felt strangely calm by the end, like the sea after a hard wind. After breakfast, I studied the photo again. This time, I noticed a small purple stamp on the bottom corner. It was faint, like a memory trying to fade. Al-Nur Studio, it said. Under that, a street I knew from long ago, near the old market where my mother used to buy fabric. The date matched the writing on the back. I held my breath. I could go there. I could ask. I could follow the thread of this truth back to where it started. I wrapped my scarf tight and took my cane. The street was busy with vendors and boys carrying bread. The studio was still there, but the sign was cracked and the paint was tired. Inside, the air smelled like old paper and camera dust. A man with white hair sat on a stool behind the counter. He wore thick glasses and a sweater too big for him. I greeted him with peace and showed him the photo. His eyes widened. He took off his glasses and cleaned them slowly, like he was buying time. I remember this face, he said, tapping Yasin gently. He was a teacher. He came here a few times. His eyes moved to the woman and the boy. He sighed. Yes. And this woman Samira, she came with him twice. They were quiet people. My throat dried. I asked in a low voice, "Do you know where she lived?" He nodded, then shook his head. It was a long time ago. Near the industrial neighborhood, behind the bus depot, there were old buildings. Samira was living with her sister. They moved after the sister died, I think. He looked at the date in the corner. A long time ago. People go where the wind pushes them. I left the studio with a small paper where he had written an address that might not exist anymore. I sat on the curb for a moment. The city felt loud and I felt small. A bus hissed to a stop and a boy tossed a coin into the air. I thought of the woman Samira. Was she alive? Was the boy, Yusuf, somewhere in this same city, walking past me without knowing me? I wrapped the paper in my handkerchief and put it deep in my pocket. When I returned home, Rania was in the kitchen. The smell of fried onions filled the air. She looked at me with eyebrows up. "You went out?" she asked. "Alone?" She was not angry exactly, but her voice had a sting. "I just went to the market," I said. She glanced at the clock, then at my shoes. "Next time, tell me," she said. "It is not safe for you." I smiled and said nothing. Some fights steal more than they fix. That evening, Omar came home late. He kissed my head, but his mind was not in the room. He spread papers on the table and showed Rania numbers. "If we move fast, we can double it in 3 months," he said. "If we hesitate, someone else will take the deal." He looked at me once, quick, then looked away as if my eyes were fire. I felt a small wall grow in the room, brick by brick. That night, when everyone slept, I opened my cupboard to put the photo back into the small box of letters. I kept the box under my shawls. I pushed the shawls aside and stopped. My brown envelope with the house papers was not where I left it. I checked again, slow, then faster. Then I took everything out. The envelope was there, but it felt lighter when I held it. I opened it. The main deed was missing. I closed my eyes. My head felt too tight for my bones. I sat on the floor and pressed my hands against the rug to find strength. I did not want to accuse anyone. I did not want to believe anyone I loved could do this. I put the envelope back. I told myself, maybe you forgot you moved it. Maybe you put the deed in another place. I wanted to believe that, even if it was a lie. Sabr is not blindness, but sometimes it shares a coat with it for a little while. The next morning, I watched Rania move around the kitchen. Her steps were light, her earrings shook. "Rania," I began slowly, "did you clean my room yesterday?" She smiled without looking at me. "Yes, Mama," she said. "I folded your shawls. They were messy." I breathed in, breathed out. "Did you open my box?" Her hand stopped for a second, then continued. "I wanted to see if there were any old things we could throw," she said. "You keep too many papers." My chest tightened. "Some papers we keep so we do not disappear," I said softly. She did not answer. I called Layla. "Come for tea," I said. "Just you." She arrived before noon with fresh bread and a pear. We sat on the floor like we used to when she was a girl. I watched her face, and I knew I could not carry this alone. I told her about the photo. I showed it to her with hands that did not feel like mine. She covered her mouth and looked from the photo to me. Tears filled her eyes. "Mama," she whispered, "are you okay?" The question was simple, but I felt it like a bandage. "I do not know," I answered. We sat in silence for a minute. Only the kettle was speaking. Layla touched the words on the back of the photo. "For our son, Yusuf. Forgive me." She read it and closed her eyes. "This is heavy," she said. "But Allah gives the heavy load to the shoulders He knows can carry it." I told her about the studio, about Samira, about the address. Layla listened and nodded. "We should not tell Omar yet," she said carefully. "He will explode. He will turn it into a fire. And Hamza." She looked down. "Hamza is already a storm. This will not help him." She was right. We needed to move quietly, like people carrying oil lamps in the wind. We went to the mosque after Asr and spoke to the imam's wife, who was like a sister to me. She listened with the patience of someone who has heard many hearts break. "Secrets are knives," she said slowly. "Some are meant to cut, and some are meant to carve something new. If there is another child, he has rights, but he also has a heart. Move with mercy, Amina. You are the one Allah chose to find this. There is wisdom in that." On our way home, Layla squeezed my hand. "Mama, I will be with you," she said. "Whatever happens, I will be with you." I felt my bide-eye, shoulders relax in a way they had not since the photo fell. A mother is strong, but a daughter's hand can be a small heaven. The next day, I went to the old address the photographer had written. The buildings were tired and leaning on each other like old men in a park. A woman was hanging laundry from a line. 2 boys were playing with a broken wheel. I asked an old man sitting on a crate about Samira. He scratched his head and said, "Samira? Thin woman? Always wore blue?" He looked into the past with his eyes. "She moved long ago," he said. "Her sister died, and then she went to her aunt near the river. The boy Yusuf used to fix radios. He was clever." He shrugged. "People move. That is the law here." I thanked him and walked back to the main street. I felt like I was chasing a shadow. Still, I did not want to give up. I wrote down everything I heard. I prayed 2 units in a small masjid nearby. "Ya Allah, if this is good for us, open the doors. If it is not, close them and make me happy with your choice." I left the masjid with a small calm, like a coin in my pocket. When I returned, Omar was sitting in my room. He had my brown envelope in his lap. My heart dropped to my feet. "Mama," he began, trying to sound gentle. "I took the house deed to the office to get it checked. I should have told you. I am sorry." He handed me the envelope. I opened it. The deed was back inside. My hands were ice. "Do not take my papers again," I said quietly. "Ask me first. I am still alive." He lifted his chin. "I am trying to protect our future," he said. "You think I do not carry this family? You sit and pray, and I have to make things happen." His words were a knife with a ribbon. "Prayer makes things happen," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. "And theft is not protection." He stood up too fast. The chair scraped the floor. "Who said theft?" he said loudly. "You think I would steal from my own mother?" Rania appeared at the door. "What is this noise?" she asked, eyes moving from me to Omar. "Nothing," Omar said, breathing hard. "Just a misunderstanding." He kissed my head and left the room. My hands would not stop shaking. That night a small bruise appeared on my arm where he had grabbed me without meaning to. It was the color of old plums. 2 days passed. I kept the photo in my blouse pocket and touched it like a worry bead when fear came. On the 3rd day, my phone rang with a number I did not know. I almost did not answer. "Peace be upon you," a man's voice said. It was warm but careful. "Is this Amina, the wife of Yasin, teacher Yasin?" My breath caught. "Yes," I said. "Who are you?" Silence for 2 heartbeats. "My name is Yusuf," he said. The room began to spin slowly, like a carousel. I sat down. He spoke quickly after that. "Please forgive me for disturbing you," he said. "I got your number from the old man at Al-Nur studio. I have been looking for anyone who knew my father. I think your husband was my father." He did not sound proud of the word. He sounded like he was stepping across a narrow bridge. "A friend kept it for me until I was older. He told me that if one day I wanted to find the truth, I should look for Amina, the wife with a soft voice and a green scarf." He laughed a little, embarrassed by the detail. It was exactly how Yasin used to describe me. We agreed to meet at a small tea shop near the mosque, in the corner where it was quiet. When I saw him, my heart recognized him before my eyes did. He had Yasin's eyebrows and the same way of listening with his whole face. He stood up to greet me. He kept a respectful distance, his hands folded. "Peace be upon you," he said again. I answered, and for a moment I could not speak. Tears entered my throat and stayed there. We sat. He placed an envelope on the table between us like a small child afraid to move. "I do not want to cause pain," he said softly. "I only want to know where I come from. I want to know the truth so I can put it down." He looked at the wood of the table, not at me. His hands were clean but rough, like he worked with them. He said he fixed small electronics. He said he helped at the mosque on weekends. He said he had a little girl, Mariam, with hair that did not listen. I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter in Yasin's handwriting. "My son," it began. "Yusuf." My eyes misted. Yasin wrote about a time when he thought he was strong and wise, and how that same time showed him his weakness. He wrote of Samira, a good woman who lost her husband young. He wrote that he had done a second nikah quietly, like a man afraid to stand in the sun. He wrote that he had failed in courage and truth, and that the weight of that failure made him pray at night until his knees hurt. He wrote that he loved Yusuf, even if he did not carry him on his shoulders in public. He asked forgiveness from Allah first, and then from the ones he wronged, from me, from our children, from Yusuf, and from Samira. He wrote that if Allah allowed, he hoped one day Yusuf would find me and that I would show mercy. He wrote, "Inside my Qur'an is a photo I cannot carry in my pocket, but I carry it in my chest. If she finds it, the time has come." I held the letter to my face and breathed in the old smell of ink and paper. For a moment, the tea shop dissolved, and I was in my living room, and Yasin was on the ground, spreading the prayer mat. "Forgive me," the words on the paper said to me across years. My hands trembled. I looked at Yusuf. I saw a man waiting to be refused and ready to leave with dignity. I saw Yasin's eyes asking me to do what he should have done when he was alive. "I am sorry," I said, and my voice broke. "I am sorry for the years you missed. I am sorry for the father you did not get to sit beside." I did not know. Yusuf shook his head quickly. "No," he said, "do not say sorry to me. I came to ask your forgiveness. He was your husband first. I am the one who entered your life like a shadow. I do not want money. I do not want a place. I only want peace. I want to look at my daughter and tell her I did not hide from the truth." He showed me a small photograph of Samira. She was smiling in the sunlight. She looked like a woman who had known both hunger and love. She died when I was 12, he said quietly. She kept secrets for other people. She taught me that secrets can be acts of mercy sometimes, and sometimes they are acts of fear. We sat without speaking for a while. The tea cooled. The world outside the glass kept moving, loud and normal. When I returned home, the door was open. Voices came from the living room. Omar was pacing. Rania stood with her arms crossed. They stopped when they saw me. "Where did you go?" Omar asked sharply. "I went to the mosque," I said. It was true, and then I said nothing more. He looked at my blouse pocket and my bag as if his eyes could enter them. I understood in that moment the smell of fear inside him. He was worried about the house, about money, about things he could hold. 2 days later, he brought a man to the house. The man wore a suit that did not fit his shoulders. "Mama," Omar said, smoothing his hair, "this is Mr. Farid. He is a lawyer. He will help us with the house sale. We will get the best price. We will put the money in a safe fund." "Mr. Farid showed me papers and spoke fast. "Just sign here, here, and here," he said. "This is a standard power of attorney. Very safe. Everybody does it." I looked at the paper. The words were small and unfriendly. "I will not sign," I said slowly. Omar's jaw clenched. "Mama," he said, "why do you always block me? Do you not trust me?" Rania sat on the arm of the sofa. She filed her nails like we were talking about the weather. "If your mother does not want to help," she said, "then she should not live with us. We are doing everything, and she cannot even sign a small paper." Her voice was sweet, but the words were sour. I looked at Omar. I saw a boy in a man's body, a boy I had bathed and fed and scolded for stealing dates as a child. Now he wanted to steal something bigger. "I will not sign," I repeated. "If you want to sell the house, you will wait. We will all sit you, Layla, Hamza, and we will decide together. And I will pray istikhara again." Mr. Farid smirked and looked at his watch. Omar gripped the edge of the table so hard his knuckles whitened. "Fine," he said. "Keep living in the past. Keep living in fear. Do not blame me when we miss our chance." That night, I heard him speak on the phone in the hallway. "She won't sign," he hissed. "No, I don't have the papers. She hides them. I will get them. Just give me a week." There was silence. Then, "Do not threaten me. I am not your employee." He hung up and punched the wall softly. In the morning, I found a small crack under the light switch. I put my palm against it and prayed for his heart. The next afternoon, as I was kneading dough, my phone rang. It was Yusuf. "I do not want to trouble you," he said, "but I am at the masjid nearby. I have something I want to give you." I told him to wait. I put on my scarf and left, telling Rania I was going to buy tomatoes. At the masjid gate, he handed me a small wooden box. "This was with the letter," he said. "The friend who kept the letter asked me to give it to you if I ever found you. He said Yasin trusted you to know what to do." Inside was an old ring, a simple gold band with a small scratch. It was the ring I had given Yasin on our 10th anniversary. I had thought he lost it years ago. Tears filled my eyes. I felt a bridge grow between this man and me, made of sorrow and truth. Yusuf and I stood there awkwardly, like two people who met at a funeral and did not know where to put their hands. "Do your children know?" he asked gently. "Not yet," I said. "I do not know how to break their hearts," he nodded. "When you are ready," he said, "I will come. I will say I do not want anything. I will say the truth and leave. I will do it your way." His voice was a balm. I went home carrying the box like a newborn. When I entered, Rania was in my room. She was not cleaning. She was looking. Drawers open, shawls moved. My box of letters open on the bed. She turned when she heard me and tried to smile. "I was just organizing," she said. My mouth went dry. "Do not enter my room when I am not home," I said. My voice was calm. My hands were not. She rolled her eyes and brushed past me. That night, I slept with the brown envelope under my pillow. 2 days after that, the storm found us. It was not Yusuf who brought it, it was Omar. I was peeling carrots when Omar came in with a speed that made the door hit the wall. Rania was behind him, her mouth a thin line. He held a piece of paper in his hand like a knife. "What is this?" he shouted. He slapped the photo on the table. My whole body stilled. He had found it. Maybe Rania had taken it from my box. Maybe he had checked my blouse when I was sleeping. My world was suddenly made of glass. He pointed at Yasin's handwriting. "For our son, Yusuf. Forgive me. 1993. He read it out loud, each word a stone thrown at my chest. "So this is your reason," he said, his voice shaking. "Your reason to distrust me. Your reason to keep your papers from me. Your reason to act like a saint, like a judge." He laughed without humor. "Our father was a liar," he said. "He lied to us. He cheated on you. He had another family. And you stand here peeling carrots like nothing happened." Rania watched with hungry eyes. She has always liked drama that does not touch her. I took a breath. "Sit," I said. "We will talk like human beings." Omar did not sit. "I knew," he said. The words came out like a confession, bitter and old. "I saw him once. I was 14. He told me he was going to the market. I followed him because I wanted to ask him for a new football. I saw him buy flowers and go to a building near the bus depot. I waited at the corner. He came out with a woman and a small boy. He kissed the boy. He kissed the woman's forehead. I went home and broke my football with a knife." The room went silent. The only sound was the knife slipping against the carrot in my hand. My heart hurt for the child he had been. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked softly. Tears filled his eyes, and he blinked them away so hard they fell on his shirt like rain. "I hated him," he said flatly. "Then I hated myself for hating him. I decided to be better than him. I decided to take care of us. But then he died and left us with debts. And every time I asked you to help me with the house, you looked at me like I was trying to rob you. You chose him, even after he left you." His words were unfair, but they came from a wound, not from a stranger. "I did not choose him over you," I said, my voice low. "I chose time. I chose prayer. I chose not to move until Allah showed me where to put my feet." He snorted. "Prayer does not sign contracts," he said. "Prayer does not buy inventory. Prayer does not pay for the twins' school." He threw the photo on the floor. It landed face down. The back showed Yasin's writing, like a scar. I knelt and picked it up. "Do not throw things with his face," I said quietly. "Your father sinned. Or maybe he married in a way that hurt us all. But he is dead now. He cannot explain himself. Do not spit on his grave to feel tall." Omar's face twisted. He reached across the table and grabbed my wrist. It hurt. "Do not speak to me like a child," he said through his teeth. "You live in my house. You eat my bread. You will sign the papers. You will stop hiding things. Or you can leave." His fingers tightened. I smelled anger on his breath like smoke. Rania touched his arm, not to stop him, but to calm him enough that he would not do something that left a mark she would have to explain. "Omar," she said sweetly, "let your mother rest. She is old. She does not understand the world now. Old. That word meant useless to her. I pulled my arm away. I understand more than you think, I said. I stood up slowly. And I forgive more than you deserve. This soft sentence made him angrier than a shout would have. He left the room, muttering. I locked my door and sat on the floor with the photo and the letter from Yusuf in my lap. I cried without sound. I put my forehead on the prayer mat and said, Ya Allah, I hand my son to you. He is angry with you and with life and with me. Show him a mirror that does not destroy him. When I lifted my head, my phone was buzzing. It was Layla. I told her what happened. She said, Come to my house now. Bring your papers. Bring the photo. Do not tell them where you are going. I breathed out. I cannot just leave, I said. Yes, you can, she replied. This is not safety anymore. This is pressure. Come now. I packed my brown envelope, the box of letters, Yasin's Qur'an, and a small bag of clothes. I left a note on the table. I am at Layla's. Do not worry. At Layla's house, quiet filled the rooms like soft cotton. Her husband, Kareem, made tea and did not ask questions. He placed the tray and kissed the top of his wife's head. I am going to take the children to the park, he said. He knew we needed space. Layla and I spread everything on the carpet, the photo, the letter, the wooden box, the ring. We sat close, two women pulling the thread of a big knot together. Hamza came while we were looking at the letter. He walked in with a bag of oranges and a troubled face. He looked from me to Layla and put the bag down slowly. Omar called me, he said in a low voice. He said you are hiding something that will shame the family. He said you want to give our house to a stranger. He looked pale and too thin. What is happening, Mama? I told him. I told him everything. His face changed with each piece of truth, like clouds moving over a field. He sat down hard. Baba had another child? He said. He did nikah? I nodded. I think so, I said. He wrote it here. I gave him the letter. He read it slowly, his lips moving to taste each word. Tears dropped on the paper. I loved him, he whispered. Even when he was strict, I loved him. Why didn't he tell us? He pressed his palms to his eyes. I feel foolish. I feel like I am 12 again, waiting at the window for him to come home from school. I held his hand. Feeling like a child is not foolish, I said. It means the wound found your first self. We were sitting like that when the door banged open. Omar stormed in with Rania behind him. He did not knock. You think you can run? He said. You think you can hide from me? Layla stood up. Do not raise your voice in my house, she said. She is soft, but when anger visits her, it stands with good posture. Omar ignored her. He looked at the carpet. He saw the letter and grabbed it. What is this? He asked. Give it back, I said. He read 2 lines and threw it down. So he wrote a poem about his sin. That changes nothing. He looked at me with eyes that were dark and wet. You chose him, he said again. He kicked the wooden box with his shoe. It slid under the sofa. Hamza stood. Stop, he said. He was shaking, not with fear, but with a kind of painful courage. She did not choose him. You used his sin to excuse your own plans. You think the world owes you because you saw something ugly when you were 14. Omar turned on him like a dog who was kicked. And you think the world owes you because you cannot keep a job. He spit. You think Mama's purse is your bank. You think being the youngest means you are a child forever. Hamza moved toward him. Layla stepped between them like a brave fence. Her hands shook, but her chin did not. Rania spoke for the first time. All of this, she said, sweeping her arm, is because of a woman who could not keep her husband. If Amina was enough, he would not have gone looking. The room went silent like a bomb went off without sound. Layla's eyes burned. You will not speak about my mother like that, she said, voice low. You can leave, Rania smiled, cold and small. We will leave, she said, but not without what we came for. She looked at my wrists. Where are the gold bangles, the ones I keep safe for you? We need them. Now. I looked at her and remembered my father's hands putting those bangles on me on my wedding day. I remembered their soft sound when I carried my babies to bed. You took them already, I said. You keep them, remember? For safety. Rania's smile tightened. Then I will bring them tomorrow, she said. We sell them, we need cash. Omar's partner left the country. The factory deal fell apart. People are calling. We need to pay. Omar's head dropped a little, like he was a tree cut at the wrong angle. He did not look at me. He did not look at anyone. I felt a strange calm. Sometimes the worst thing breaks the glass of fear and the air tastes clean. You have been walking toward this wall for a long time, I said to Omar. Your steps were quick, but your eyes were closed. I will not sign papers. I will not give you my father's bangles. I will not feed your mistake with my memory. He laughed once, short and ugly. You think you are strong because you can say no, he said. You are a weak old woman, hiding behind verses. He moved toward me, his hand lifted. Not to hit me, I do not know. To pull the letter, to pull the photo, to pull the past from my hands. Hamza stepped between us. He pushed Omar back with both hands. Omar stumbled. He regained his balance, and his face changed color. You push me? He shouted. He moved forward again, and this time Karim walked in. He stood in front of Layla, a quiet wall. Enough, Karim said. His voice was calm but strong. Leave now. Come back when you can speak without breaking things. Omar looked around and saw he was alone. He walked to the door. He turned back and pointed at me. If you bring that bastard into our life, he said, if you bring him into our home, do not call me your son. His words were heavy and cheap at the same time. He left. The door shook after him. The room fell quiet as if someone had pulled the sound from it. Rania followed him, but not before she looked at the table and quickly slipped one of my small silver rings into her pocket. I saw it. I said nothing. My silence had changed shape. It was no longer fear. It was a choice. After they left, Layla sat beside me, and we cried. Hamza held the photograph like a fragile bird. That evening, after Maghrib, I called Yusuf. My son, I said, the word slipping out before I could catch it. If you still want to meet the family, come tomorrow to Layla's house at noon. He paused. I heard him breathe. I will come, he said. Morning came slow. I cooked rice with cinnamon. I made tea. I wore a clean scarf. Layla cleaned the living room like we were expecting guests for Eid. We were, in a way. Hamza hovered, nervous. Karim sat with us, a quiet mountain. At noon, there was a gentle knock. Yusuf entered with his head down. He wore a simple shirt. He held a small bag. He greeted us with peace and kissed my hand without touching it fully. We sat in a circle. Yusuf did not look at the carpet. He looked at Omar's empty place. He looked at the Qur'an on the table. He looked at me. I am here to tell the truth and to ask forgiveness, he began. His voice was steady. I am not here for money. I am not here to take anything. I brought a copy of my birth certificate. I brought a photo of my mother. I brought a letter from the imam who did the nikah. He did it quietly. He regrets the quiet. He says he thought he was saving a widow, but he was helping a man hide. He put the papers down. He folded his hands. We looked. We listened. Everything matched the pieces we had. It was terrible and clean. It was a wound stitched with careful hands. We cried again, but the tears now were not only for loss, they were for the strange mercy of truth. Hamza looked at Yusuf with curiosity mixed with pain. "I have a brother," he said, almost smiling through his tears. Layla touched Yusuf's shoulder. "We have a brother," she corrected gently. "3 of us. 1 you. Allah sent you to us in time." A knock at the door broke the ice. Tenderness like a plate. Omar walked in without waiting. He saw Yusuf and stopped. The 2 men looked at each other. They shared a face and a history, but not a childhood. Omar's mouth opened. No sound came. "Then leave," he said, pointing at the door. "You do not belong here." Yusuf stood up slowly. He looked at me. I shook my head. "Sit," I said gently. "This is your family, too." Omar laughed, a sound with no joy. He stepped into the room. His eyes shone with a kind of cold light. "Show them your papers," he said to Yusuf. "Show them your proof. It does not change the fact that you are the child of a sin." The word sin sat in the middle of the room like a snake. Yusuf swallowed. He did not defend himself. He did not attack. He said, "I am the child of Allah before I am the child of any man." Omar looked at me. "If you accept him," he said, "then you reject me." I stood. My knees did not fail me. "I accept the truth," I replied, "and I reject the cruelty. You can choose which side you are on." Omar's face went still. He looked at me like I was someone he had never met. He turned to go, then paused. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket and threw it on the table. It was a copy of a sale contract. My heart froze. The contract was stamped and signed. My name was there, but it was not my hand. He had forged it, or someone had. The village house was gone, sold. The money had moved and vanished into a partner's hands. The letter was dated 3 weeks ago. A cold shiver ran through me. "Omar," I whispered, "what did you do?" He lifted his chin. "I did what I had to do," he said. "I will fix it." "I always fix things." "By breaking them first?" Kareem asked quietly. Omar glared. "Stay out of this." He turned to me again. "You should thank me," he said. "At least something is moving. You would have let that house rot for memories." I sank onto the sofa. I was not thinking of the house. I was thinking of my father's hands finishing the roof. I was thinking of Yasin reading on the step with the sun on his feet. I was thinking of my children playing hide and seek behind its doors. I pressed my palm to my chest. I looked at Yusuf. He looked back at me with eyes that held sorrow and strength. And then, something old opened in my mind, like a door that had been stuck. I remembered the year 1993. I remembered the week. I remembered bleeding alone in a car on the way to the hospital because Yasin was with his cousin. I remembered the small life I lost that day, a baby who never cried. I remembered the nurse saying, "It was a boy." I remembered coming home and seeing Yasin's eyes full of tears and a joy he tried to hide. My breath left my body like someone had opened a window in winter. I looked at the photo again. I looked at the date. I looked at the word, "Forgive me." The letter in my hand shook. I heard Yasin's voice from the past, broken and sincere. "Forgive me." The room blurred. I saw the truth as it was, not as I wanted. On the day I lost a son I never held, my husband held another son and asked Allah and me to forgive him. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Qadr, destiny." It was a hard word and a soft bed at the same time. Tears ran down my face and dropped onto the photo, making small dark circles like raindrops on stone. I opened my eyes and spoke, and my voice belonged to all the mothers I had met in my life. Omar, I said, I will always love you, but I will not follow you into fire. You sold the house. You sold what did not belong to you. You can hide behind your father's mistake, but it will not cover you on the day when only truth can do that. He looked at me, and for a second, I saw the boy who broke his football because he could not break his father. Then the man returned. He turned to Yusuf. If you take a step toward our inheritance, I will destroy you, he said quietly. Yusuf stood. I do not want your money, he replied. I only want my father's dua and my own peace. He took a slow breath. And I want to stand next to Amina when she needs someone to stand next to her. Omar scoffed and left. The door closed, the house breathed. I sank back into my seat. I held the photo, the ring, and the contract. In one hand, I held love. In the other, I held betrayal. Between them were my children. I felt something in me shift, not break. A patience I had carried like a mild scarf turned into armor. It was not anger. It was not bitterness. It was a decision. I would not be silent in the way that protects evil anymore. I would be silent only in the way that protects hearts. That night, I slept at Layla's. In the morning, we went to the small legal office near the mosque. The man there was kind. He looked at the contract and shook his head. This signature is not yours, he said. This can be fought. It will be hard. But you have the right. The buyer may have acted in good faith. Or maybe not. We will see. He asked for copies. He asked for time. We left with a plan. It was not perfect, but it was a road. On our way back, Hamza walked beside me, his hand under my elbow. Mama, he said, I am sorry for the times I made you worry. I thought Omar was the strong one, but strength without mercy is just a wall. I squeezed his fingers. Each of my sons is strong in a different way, I said. I pray you both find the kind that saves you. That evening, after I prayed Maghrib, I sat with Yasin's Qur'an open. The letter lay beside it. The photo lay on top of it, only for a moment, and then I moved it. Words are light, and they need clean space. I read a verse about forgiveness and another about trust. I felt Yasin's presence in the room, not like a ghost, but like the smell of a shirt after someone has left. I whispered, I forgive you. I was not sure if I did, but I wanted to. That was a start. I called Yusuf to thank him for his courage. He did not answer. After a while, he sent a voice message. I am at work. I will call later. I wanted to say, do not be alone with this. Call me when Omar comes. I will stand a little behind you so that you can feel taller. His words were simple. They found a home inside me. I saved the message. I listened to it again. When I put down the phone, it buzzed in my hand again. A new message from an unknown number filled the screen. It was a photo. My bangles. My father's bangles. They were on a display table in a gold shop with a small card under them that said, pre-owned, good condition. Under the photo, 2 words, best price? My throat closed, my eyes blurred. Rania. Of course. She had not kept them safe for me. She had kept them safe for herself. The room tilted, but I did not fall. I placed the phone on the table. I folded my scarf slowly. I whispered, Ya Allah. If this is my test, make me pass with grace. I stood up to tell Layla, to tell Hamza, to make a plan. And then the doorbell rang. I opened the door. Omar stood there with eyes that had not slept. Behind him were 2 men I did not know. They wore dark jackets and had the look of people who smelled trouble like dogs smell meat. Mama, he said, trying to sound normal and failing, we need to talk. He stepped into the light of the hallway. The men followed. The air changed temperature. I realized in that moment that the storm was not over. It was only learning my name. Omar stepped inside with the two men close behind him. Their faces were hard and quiet, the kind of quiet that does not listen. The smell of cigarettes and cold air came with them. Layla stood up from the sofa and moved closer to me without saying a word. Hamza appeared from the kitchen and stood on my other side like a tree. "We need money," Omar said, trying to sound calm. "Today, not tomorrow." He glanced at the men, then back at me. He would not meet my eyes for more than a second. One of the men spoke. His voice was polite, but it did not have softness. "Your son owes us," he said. "We came to remind him to be serious." He looked around the room like someone checking for exits. "We do not want trouble." He spread his hands. "We want what is agreed." Kareem came from the hallway and greeted them with peace. He offered tea. They refused with a short shake of the head. Layla picked up her phone and messaged without looking down. I saw the small blue light of the screen. She was calling the imam and the neighbor upstairs, who was a retired police officer. Sometimes a woman can move armies with one thumb. I kept my voice steady. "This is my daughter's home," I said. "You are guests here. We do not raise our voices. We do not frighten grandchildren." I rested my hand on the Qur'an on the table and felt a calm rise in me like warm water. "We will not give money today," I added. "We will sit and make a plan that is clean." The men looked at each other. Omar stepped forward. "Mama," he said, the word torn between love and shame, "they are not going to wait." His voice cracked. For a moment, he was 14 again, asking for a football he knew he did not deserve. I looked at him and saw his fear like a small boy hiding behind a curtain. The doorbell rang. Kareem opened. The imam came in with his white cap and a face that could calm a room. Behind him was Uncle Hassan from upstairs, tall and slow with kind eyes. The men stiffened. Respect is a strange key. Sometimes it opens where anger only breaks. The imam greeted everyone and sat down. He looked at Omar, then at the men. "We are Muslims," he said gently. "We will solve this without harm." One of the men shrugged, like he was bored. "We just want our money," he repeated. The imam nodded. "You will get what is yours," he said, "but we will do it in a way that does not destroy a family." He turned to Omar. "How much?" Omar whispered the number. It was high enough to make my stomach drop, and low enough to know it did not end here. Debt is like a vine. It climbs while you sleep. The imam asked for 2 days. "We will write a plan," he said. "Payments, a date, a witness." The men looked at each other again and nodded. 2 days, the taller one said. "No more." They left without shaking hands. The air felt bigger when the door closed. Omar stood, small and heavy at the same time. He did not sit. He did not thank anyone. He went to the window and stared at nothing. "I did not want this," he said, and his voice was honest. "I wanted to be the son who solved everything." He hung his head. "I made it worse." The imam put a hand on his shoulder. "Allah can pull you out if you stop digging," he said softly. "Do not hide. Do not lie. Return what is not yours. Ask for help like a man, not like a child stealing sweets." Omar's shoulders shook. He did not cry. Some men do not know how. We made tea, and we drank it like medicine. The imam helped me write a short statement about the house deed. Uncle Hassan called a friend at the property office and asked him to place a note on the file, a freeze until review. We copied everything. We took photos of the forged signature and printed them. We did not shout. We moved step by step. That night, I woke before Fajr and prayed tahajjud. The house was dark and soft. I spoke to Allah like I speak to my mother's grave, with trust, with a small smile, with tears that do not show on the floor. You gave me these children, I said. You gave me this old heart. You gave me this test. Give me sabr. Give me a tongue that heals. Give me strength to say no when no is mercy. In the morning, Layla and I went to the gold market. The shop from the message was near the corner where the old men sit and count pigeons. The seller behind the glass had a face like a closed door. I showed him the photo from the message. These are mine, I said. They were taken without my permission. He shrugged. Many bangles look the same, he said. Do you have proof? I took a deep breath and unwrapped a small scrap of paper that I had kept for years, the faded note from my father that came with the bangles on my wedding day. In his careful letters, he wrote, "For my Amina, may these ring with joy." I turned one bangle in the light and showed the inside curve. There, tiny like a secret star, was a short scratch shaped like a little crescent. My father's knife had made it by accident when he cut the thread on my wedding night. I remember the sound of his small sorry and the way he kissed my head to erase it. The shopkeeper leaned in. He saw the scratch. He looked at the note. He looked at my face. Something softened. They came from a woman with sharp eyes, he muttered. She said her mother-in-law gave them to her. He looked ashamed for a moment when he realized what he repeated. He turned and brought the bangles from the back. He placed them on the velvet like a sleeping bird. How much did you pay? I asked. He told me. It was a fair price, not cruel, not kind. I counted my savings with a shaking hand. It was not enough. Before I could speak, Yusuf stepped into the shop. I did not know he had followed us. He greeted the seller with peace and put a small envelope on the counter. I will make up the rest, he said softly. Please, let her keep what her father touched. The seller hesitated, then nodded. He pushed the bangles toward me. Make dua for me, he said. Sometimes business makes the heart hard. I held the bangles to my chest and felt a line inside me connect daughter to father, mother to child, past to present. I kissed them and whispered, Alhamdulillah. Out on the street, the sky felt wider. I turned to Yusuf. You should not have paid, I said. I will return it to you. He shook his head. It is a gift, he said, from a son to his mother. The word mother sat between us like a warm lamp. Layla's eyes filled with tears. She linked her arm with mine. We walked home slow, like people carrying something fragile and new. Back at Layla's house, we wrote a simple repayment plan for Omar with the imam's help. It was not magic, but it was a rope. We called the men. They came and signed. They left with a promise that had a witness. The next day, we went to the lawyer again. He filed a formal complaint about the forged signature and the sale. He told us that the buyer's office was already under review for other shady deals. Sometimes, he said, lowering his voice, wrong people walk into each other and trip. It helps the rest of us. Days became weeks. Weeks became a few months. Life did not stop to wait for our wounds. I still prayed, cooked, washed, and watched the sun move across the floor. Layla's children learned new words. I taught them to say Bismillah before biting into a pear. Mariam, Yusuf's little girl, started to visit on Sundays. She called me Teta Amina and brushed my scarf with her small hands. She liked to sit by the window and count the pigeons. When she laughed, I felt a door inside me open where no one had ever knocked. Hamza began to spend time at Yusuf's small workshop. He learned how to fix radios and phones without breaking them. He came home with oil on his fingers and a new kind of tired on his face. It was the good kind, the kind that carries sleep like a blessing. He brought me small screws in a bottle one day and said, "Look how something tiny holds the whole together." I put the bottle on my shelf, next to my prayer beads. We smiled at the shared secret. Omar drifted like a boat without an oar. Sometimes he called at night when the fear was the loudest. Sometimes he did not call for a week. He paid the first 2 installments to the men. Then his partner disappeared from the city. He found out that the factory deal was a curtain over nothing. He came to the mosque one evening with eyes that had learned humility. After Isha, he waited by the door. He looked thinner. His shirt did not sit right on him. "Mama," he said very quietly, "I need help." I took a breath and felt my heart answer before my mind. "I will help you," I said, "but not in the way that keeps you sick." He nodded, like someone who had expected the medicine to taste bad. We went to the imam's office and sat. Omar talked without making excuses. He told the truth privately, the way he had never told it loudly. He admitted the forgery. He admitted the lies. He admitted the jealousy that sat on his heart like a heavy guest since he was 14. He cried, not with noise, but with a softness that made my hands ache to reach for him. The imam listened and then drew a small map with words. "You will go to the property office with your mother," he said. "You will admit what you signed. You will write a letter for the file. You will face the buyer in front of a clerk if they call you. You will return what you can. If the court decides there is a penalty, you will not run. You will pray Fajr in the mosque every day for 40 days. You will read a page of Qur'an and ask Allah to make your eyes love truth." Omar nodded. "I will do it," he whispered. "I am tired of running." The next morning we went. The building smelled of coffee and paper. We filed the letter. The clerk looked at me with kind eyes. "Mother," he said, "this happens more than you think." He stamped the papers. He said the sale was now frozen. He said the buyer would be called. He said the case would go to court in time. I felt a lightness that had nothing to do with winning, everything to do with standing. On our way out, we stopped by the small women's prayer room. I prayed 2 units. I thanked Allah for the rope in a place full of windows. Omar sat beside the door. He was quiet. When we came out, he looked back into the small room and then at me. "I forgot how good it feels to breathe in there," he said. I smiled. "The heart has lungs too," I told him. "You starved yours for years." A few weeks later, the gold shop owner came by Layla's house with a little paper bag. "I found this in the drawer," he said. "It must have fallen." Inside was my small silver ring with a tiny blue stone, the one I had seen Rania slip into her pocket. My mouth opened. He lifted a hand. "I should not have bought it from her," he said. "I knew it was not hers. Forgive me." He placed it in my hand. "Make dua for my daughter," he added, almost whispering. "She is engaged to a boy I do not trust," I promised. "I still pray for her today." Rania did not come to see me. She sent 2 messages that were cold and sharp. Then, one afternoon, she called from a number I did not know. Her voice was tired and her words stumbled. "I am sorry," she said very quickly, as if the words were too hot to hold. "I should not have spoken to you like that. I should not have touched your things." She paused. I heard traffic. "I am at my mother's. Omar moved out of the apartment. We are taking time." She swallowed. "If you need anything, tell me." It was not exactly an apology for all of it. It was the start of a door opening a crack. I said, "I forgive you." I meant it in the way a heart means it when it is trying. Yusuf came, every Friday, to read Qur'an with me after Jumu'ah. We sat by the window. He read, and I listened. Sometimes I read and he listened. Sometimes we did not speak at all. The silence between verses has its own color. After we finished, we drank tea and shared stories about Yasin that came from 2 different houses and 1 man. We laughed. Do you remember how he lost his keys every week? He said. He did that at our place too. It felt like stitching one fabric from pieces that were cut with a shaking hand. The court set a date for the property case. I wore a plain scarf and took a small bottle of water. The judge was a woman with a direct way of speaking. She listened to both sides. She looked at the signatures, the stamps, the dates. She asked Omar questions. He answered without hiding. She leaned back and sighed. The sale is invalid, she said. The signature is not hers. The buyer will return any money he received. If he cannot, the court will take it from his assets. She paused. As for you, she said to Omar, forgery is a crime, but this mother has asked for mercy, and the buyer's behavior is worse. We will fine you. We will require community service. Do not stand in front of me again for this. I closed my eyes and said, Alhamdulillah. It was not victory, it was a path. The house came back to my name. I felt my father's hands on my shoulders. I felt Yasin's quiet regret like a shadow that had finally sat down. Later, we all went to the village house together, me, Layla, and her family, Hamza, and Yusuf, with little Maryam. The road was long and full of holes. We laughed when the car shook. When we reached, the gate was stubborn. The key turned like it had been asleep. The air smelled like dust and thyme. The rooms were smaller than my memory, and somehow kinder. We opened windows. We swept floors. We found a bird's nest on the windowsill, full of small, unhatched eggs. Maryam clapped. Baby birds, she whispered, like she was afraid to wake them. I walked into the small room where I used to keep Yasin's winter sweaters. I put the green Qur'an on the shelf. I touched the wall with my palm. I said, we are back. My voice sounded young and old at the same time. Layla hugged me from behind. We will come here for weekends, she said. We will keep it alive. I nodded. I did not need to own it every day to keep it. I needed to love it with clean hands. On the second evening in the village, after Maghrib, Omar arrived. He had called Hamza to ask where we were. He entered quietly, like a student late for class. He stood near the door and held his breath. He watched us for a moment, Yusuf fixing a broken chair, Kareem washing cups, Layla cutting fruit, me folding prayer mats. Family, with a new shape. He came to me and knelt. He took my hand and put his forehead on it. He started to cry, not like a boy, not like an actor, like a man who finally let the flood inside. His chest found a door. Mama, he said, no other words at first. Then, I did wrong. I hurt you. I hurt us. I wanted to control everything because I could not control the past. I am sorry. I put my hand on his head. It was the same head I touched when he was a baby. My heart softened like warm bread. I forgive you, I said. Forgiveness is not a rug to hide dirt. It is a cloth to clean it. You will still pay what you owe. You will still fix what you broke. But I forgive you. He nodded and cried again. He looked up at Yusuf. For a long moment they just breathed in the same air. Omar wiped his face with the back of his hand. I spoke to you like you were a thief, he said. You came with empty hands. I hit you with words. Forgive me. Yusuf stood and came to him. He put a hand on Omar's shoulder. We are brothers, he said. We will be awkward and kind. We will make new habits. We ate together that night. The rice tasted better than I make it in the city. Maybe hunger? Maybe the open windows? Maryam sat between Omar's twins like they had shared a desk for years. Layla told old stories about when we had chickens and the rooster chased her around the yard. Hamza laughed until he almost cried. Even Kareem laughed, the gentle, deep laugh of a man who enjoys other people's joy. Before we slept, I took the ring from the small wooden box and gave it to Yusuf. "This was your father's," I said. "Keep it, not as a burden, as a bridge." He shook his head at first, then he took it with both hands, the way you hold a book. He kissed it and pressed it to his forehead. "I will keep it safe," he said. "I will keep both your names in my du'as." We returned to the city with tired feet and happy hearts. The case with the buyer continued in the background like a quiet machine. The money started to come back slowly through the court. Omar began his community service at the mosque school, repairing shelves and painting walls. He arrived early and left late. He prayed Fajr there every day for 50 days, not 40. Sometimes I saw him sitting on the steps after prayer, breathing like someone who had discovered a new kind of air. Rania and Omar met with the imam for counseling. They walked in with hard faces and walked out with softer ones. They did not fix everything, but they stopped wounding each other with their tongues. Rania returned the last small ring she had kept. She sat across from me with her hands folded. "I am ashamed," she said. "I forgot that what we take from an elder's drawer is not jewelry, it is memory." I nodded. "May Allah cover us with mercy the way we wanted to cover ourselves with things," I said. She smiled sadly. "Ameen." I started a little reading circle for women in our building every Thursday morning. We read a few verses. We share a story. We make dua for our children by name, one by one, as if saying their names out loud could tie them to the right path, like a ribbon. Sometimes Layla brings warm bread. Sometimes Yusuf sends a bag of oranges. Sometimes Hamza drops a repaired radio at an old neighbor's door without a note. Small kindnesses, like stitches on a long tear. One day, I took the photo out again. I had not looked at it for weeks. I placed it on my palm. Yasin's smile did not change. Samira's eyes did not change. The little boy's fingers on her scarf did not change. But my heart had changed. The photo no longer stabbed. It pressed like a firm hand on a shaking shoulder. I turned it over and read the words again. "For our son, Yusuf, forgive me." 1993. I held it to my chest and whispered, "I forgive you, Yasin." I thought of the baby I lost that same week, the son I never held, and the son Allah sent to me through another door. Qadr is not a simple cloth. It is woven with threads that look wrong up close and perfectly right from the sky. Years have a way of folding into each other. Some days I forget what came first, the fall of the photo, the shouting in the living room, the ring on the table of a tea shop. But I remember the feeling of the moment after all of that, when the house was quiet and I sat alone with my prayer beads. I remember the way my heart stopped fighting the truth and started walking with it. It is like taking off tight shoes after a long day. The pain does not disappear, but the relief is honest. I am 66. I move slower. I make less noise in the world. But inside me, something has become lighter. I do not carry as many questions like stones in my pockets. I carry more prayers, small ones, the kind that float. Ya Allah, keep their hearts soft. Ya Allah, make my tongue gentle. Ya Allah, write our names in places where mercy is written. The house in the village is safe now. On some weekends, we go there. We sweep, we cook, we pray, we sleep with the window open. When I sit under the fig tree, I think of all the hands that have touched its trunk. My father, Yasin, my children. I think of how Allah kept it growing even when no one sat beneath it. It gives shade because it is a tree. I want to be like that tree in my old age. I want to give shade because I belong to the one who gives. Omar is changing. He is still proud. He still wants to be the one who brings home the solution, wrapped like a gift. But now he calls when he is lost. He tells the truth sooner. He asks forgiveness quicker. He has not finished paying the men, but he pays. He is learning that manhood is not a ladder to climb above your family. It is a roof you build over them. Rania is different too. She speaks softer. She returns things without being asked. She brings soup when she hears my cough, not because she wants to be seen, but because she wants me to be warm. We are not best friends. We are women who know that life gets tired of our fights and prefers our peace. Hamza stands straight now. He still jokes too much when he is nervous. He still spends money quickly when he has it. But his eyes do not ask me for what I cannot give. He works with Yusuf and learns patience with wires that refuse to behave. He takes care of Mariam sometimes when Yusuf is busy. He pushes her on the swing and counts to 50 because she says 40 is too small. And Yusuf, my son, who came in a photo, and then a voice, and then a man, he sits with me every Friday. He has a way of carrying silence that does not scare me. When he leaves, he says, "Make dua for me, Mama." He means it. He sends me messages with pictures of his breakfast sometimes, because he thinks I like to know he is eating. He has not asked for anything. He has given me something I did not know. I still could receive a chance to love a new child without fear. At night, I sometimes dream of Yasin. Not the young Yasin in the photo with a shy smile. The older Yasin, the one who used to forget where he put his pen and then laugh at himself. In the dream, he is sitting on the floor with the Qur'an open, the green cover soft and familiar. He looks up at me, and the lines on his forehead are not there. He says, "Thank you." He says, "I am sorry." He says, "Take care of them for me." I wake up, and I do. The photo I found inside the Qur'an changed everything. It changed how I saw my husband. It changed how I saw my sons. It changed how I saw myself. But more than that, it changed the way I carry the word qadr. Before, it was a word I said on my tongue when something bad happened. Now it is a house I sit in. It is a blanket I pull over my knees. It is the reason I can forgive without forgetting and love without lying to myself. If you are holding a secret today, or a secret is holding you, know this: you do not have to throw it like a stone to feel free. You can carry it to Allah like a small cup of water and say, "This is all I have. Help me not to spill." You can ask for a heart that forgives without being foolish. You can ask for eyes that see people's wounds before you judge their words. You can ask for a path that does not feel like revenge, but feels like recovery. Maybe Allah wanted me to lose what I thought kept me safe, so I could find the safety that was always there in prayer, in truth, in the hands of my children when they are kind, and even in the hands of my children when they are lost and find their way back. Maybe He wanted me to open the Qur'an not only to read the verses, but to open my life and read what He had written for me on days I could not yet imagine. I sit by the window most mornings, a glass of tea in my hand. The sun finds the corner of the carpet and rests there. I touch the edges of the bangles and smile. I hear the small sounds of the building waking. I say the names of my children, all of them, out loud. Omar, Layla, Hamza, Yusuf. The room fills with a quiet that is not empty. I feel held. I feel small. I feel strong. If this story touched your heart, please follow Voices of Fatima, like the video, and share it with someone who might need hope today. And which country are you watching from? I'd love to know. Thank you for watching.